there, I'm Science Officer Synoiz, and I'm joined by the wonderful Captain Goodwill of our starship, the USS Adequate, on our brilliant new YouTube channel for Trekking Up North. How are you doing, Captain Goodwill?
Yeah, I am present and I am alive. I am super excited to be back on Trekking Up North at our brand new home. This very own YouTube channel that we own.
Oh, it's so nice and shiny. But
It's
yes,
it's nice
but
and shiny and no longer corrupt with suggestive things and goths with big boobs. Right. So
well, for now, we'll bring them in. But yes, so I thought we should do a little episode here just to explain what's changed with the channel. Because the
yeah.
main thing that we've changed is, if you remember how we've done things in the past from the beginning of Trekking Up North, we've had the Dabo Wheel of Trek, where we
The
randomly
double
generate
wheel.
the Dabo Wheel! Randomly generate an episode of Star Trek from all of the seasons that we actually kind of fancied, with a couple of exceptions in there where we were like, hey, these are too soon, or we don't want to discuss this. But what we've done now is, because we were missing out on certain episodes where we were like, hey, we really want to talk about this, or we really don't want to talk about this one. So what we've done is we've made a little game out of it where we now have two wheels. We have the Dabo Wheel of Honor and the
Kapla!
Dabo Wheel of Shame.
Oh.
And then, depending on what we do in an episode, and there's various ways that this can happen, we either spin on the Wheel of Honor that contains 24 of our favorite episodes, the episodes that we really want to discuss with Trek. Or if we do it badly, then we have to spin on the Dabo Wheel of Shame, and we have to cover an episode that we hate.
No.
Yeah, exactly. You know exactly which ones are going to be in there. Well, what we're going to do in this episode is we're going to cover each of the episodes that we're doing. But the way it's going to be decided to get people more involved is we're going to have like community events, like community sort of interactions, or special guests from various other podcasts who will come on the show, probably pre-recorded, come on the show and then set us a challenge. And that if we can do this challenge, then we succeed and we get to spin on the Wheel of Honor. If we fail in this challenge, then we have to spin on the Wheel of Shame. And that's how we're going to be doing things. Does that sound good to you, Captain Goodwill?
If someone says no tangents, we are screwed.
Yeah, they'd like go for a whole episode without any tangents. Oh no, man.
It's not gonna work.
Imagine if someone like Sean's just like, okay, no swearing, and I'm just like,
Fuck.
you're not
Oh.
allowed to mention Madeline McCann. All right,
Oh
well,
no, he's done it!
I
Two
guess
videos
we're
into the new season. Dada
I
no.
guess we're spinning on the Wheel of Shame, but yeah. Yeah. So what we've tried to do is we've tried to be fairly fair and cover all of the series throughout things, because we haven't had things like Strange New Worlds because it was too modern. We haven't had things like Picard, and we haven't had things like Discovery and the Dabo Wheel before, but they're all programmed in there now. So should we have a quick run through of what we've got in the Dabo Wheel of Honor that you will get to enjoy if you give us a like and a subscribe and follow the episodes as they're coming out? Uh, what have we got in the Dabo Wheel of Honor? Oh, the first episode that I put in from DS9 is, of course, In the Pale Moonlight. This is one of my choices because I don't even need to justify this, Goodwill. Like, In the Pale Moonlight, it's such a seminal episode of anything that there's so many talking points. There's every character in it is used really well, and it gets across the nuance of what DS9 does for Trek. And it might not be Gene's vision, but it's incredible. I love it. What's the next episode we've got in there?
The next one is Far Beyond the Stars, which again pushed the boundaries of Star Trek, and Avery Brooks absolutely knocked it out of the park with his performances. Benny Russell, a struggling comic book artist in 1950s America, dealing with inequality and racism. It is a tearjerker of an episode, and it also sets a popular fan theory that the entirety of Star Trek is the creation of Benny Russell.
Yeah. I love this concept. It's like in that Buffy episode where it kind of goes, "Hey, is this all a crazy dream?" It's yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
exactly. The next one?
My next episode is Sacrifice of Angels, which is like there's so many good DS9 episodes, but this is one of my favorites because everybody is in it. We have the all of the villains are present in it. We have the prophets getting actively involved and whatnot. We have the sort of, will they, won't they sort of with getting back in time to stop things. It's an absolutely amazing episode. And isn't this the one where they had the remastered fight? They redid the CG battle
They
for it in
they
What We Left Behind.
they did. They remastered it. Deep Space Nine famously has been asked for a remaster for decades now, but
Yeah.
Paramount will just not sink in the money, so it's up
Ugh.
to fans to do it for them, apparently.
But I absolutely love this episode and I can't wait to talk about it. The next one is what I say is my entry level episode for Star Trek is Duet from season 1 of DS9. Like everyone says, oh, people say like, oh, the first season's a bit crap and it doesn't really get into its uh, you know, pace until like season 4. It's rubbish. Duet is a season 1 episode and it is one of the best episodes of Trek ever made and I can't wait to talk about it.
The next episode is an Enterprise episode from season 3, which is a shocker for a lot of people who know me. It's Similitude. This is the only Star Trek episode that will make me bawl my eyes out all the way through. It is heartfelt, it is emotional, and again, it deals with a moral quandary. It is sort of two Vicks with feelings. And to this day, I when we watch this episode, I will be crying. Everybody,
Yeah. No, when we watch this episode, I like Goodwill, but I'm going to be having a danger wank as well. So what it'll be a nice little mix of emotions, I think. The next episode we've got is Dear Doctor from Enterprise, which is one of my picks. And Dr. Phlox is, while I'm not the biggest Enterprise fan in the world, I wanted it to have its full 7 series run purely because we deserved so much more from these characters. And one of those
yeah.
characters is Dr. Phlox. It's an amazing Hoshi and Dr. Phlox episode. And yeah, I'm excited for it.
The next episode is another Enterprise episode, but it is the first episode, the 2 hour pilot Broken Bow, named after the town Broken Bow. This was an episode that I was looking forward to for a couple of years after Enterprise had been announced, and I vividly remember January 2002 when it first appeared on Sky One, and I watched that episode so much. I think I ruined the VHS tape that I'd because I watched it on Sky
Yeah.
One and then obviously replayed it. But Broken Bow, the introduction of 2151 Star Trek.
No, it's a great one. I think the next one's one of yours as well.
The next one is, without question, one of my most favorite episodes of all time, Vox, from Star Trek Picard season 3. There was a lot of highs, there was a lot of lows, and then there was a lot of crying with joy. This is the bipolar episode of Star Trek Picard, and obviously we get to see the Enterprise D.
Next one is one of mine, and it is from Strange New Worlds, and it's Subspace Rhapsody. Now, I get really shocked. Like, I'm probably a bit controversial with my picks for these lists because I class this as one of the best episodes of Star Trek. It works so incredibly well. It's a musical episode, but like, it's done so incredibly well. The songs are so incredibly catchy, and it's awful to see it on a lot of people's like worst episodes lists. And you're just sitting there being like, shut up. Can't wait to cover it. We've already covered it on the show when we covered Strange New Worlds, like with the next one, but yeah, it's a great one.
The next one is my choice. It is Ad Astra per Aspera from season 2 of
A
Strange New
courtroom
Worlds.
episode.
Courtroom episode on a good list. How dare thee? But it is for new Trek, for anyone who says that new Trek is rubbish or is bad, you need to watch this episode. This is
Yeah.
peak classic Star Trek through and through. And when we reviewed this in 2023, we could not speak highly of it. And I look forward to reviewing it again.
Yeah. The next one's one of yours as well.
The next episode is a season 3 episode of The Next Generation. It is Yesterday's Enterprise. This, for me, was the changing turning point of Star Trek The Next Generation. We got a little bit of an alternate universe. We got the Enterprise C. We got the
Yeah.
introduction of Rachel Garrett, the first female captain of the Federation flagship.
Who
I
hasn't been ruined by subsequent releases at all.
I don't know what you mean, but it's a good Guinan episode, and we get Tasha Yar making her triumphant return to the
Yeah.
next generation.
No, it's brilliant. They're all yours. The next one's yours as well.
They really are, because the
There's
next
a
one,
lot of T. You've picked a lot of TNG to be in the
I
good column, and
I
I think it says a lot.
I don't know what you mean, but the next one is what is considered to be one of the greatest cliffhanger episodes as well. Well, if you count them as 2 episodes, they are incredible. But the first episode, the first part, is considered to be one of the greatest cliffhanger episodes of all time in television, and that is the best of both worlds. I mean, what is not to love about this? You get Picard turning into a Borg. You get
Yeah.
Wolf 359, which just sets the course for the rest of Star Trek going forward. It is tremendous. And it was at a time where the Borg were genuinely terrifying. So this
Yeah.
was just, yeah, I can't wait to talk about this.
Mm. The next episode is one that I have been desperate to talk about. Like, if you've ever tuned into the podcast previously, every time we do the Dabo Wheel, I'm in my heart, I'm like, please let it be this. It is the Drumhead from TNG. This is another courtroom episode, essentially. Well, it ends in a courtroom kind of scenario, but it's just there's so much to talk about with the nuance of how it works with conspiracy thinking and the fact that this is an episode from like 40 years ago, is it? Is it 30, 40 years ago? It's
No, no.
it's a while ago, but it's
TNG
the
is TNG is the same age as me, so please don't. Let's not get on. Let's not get into
carbon dating
age,
you.
please. Let's yeah.
I'll
Let's not.
cut
Let's
your arm off and count the rings. But it's an amazing episode. So I yeah, there's a lot to discuss, and it has one of my favorite guest characters in TNG, who I think leaves an incredible mark on the series.
The next one is mine, and it is Unification Part 1 and 2, because we get Spock, we get the Romulans, and this ties in with the. When this was premiering, this was almost simultaneously on the air when Star Trek 6 The Undiscovered Country was airing. So we get double the Spock in 1991. But I love this because we get Spock in the next generation. We see his father, and it's a good Romulan episode. And obviously, Seela, it makes a return. So
Wait, also, is it the only episode we get that's actually set on Romulus?
no, no,
Oh,
I think in Star Trek there's more than one episode set on Romulus, but this was the first one of
yeah.
the Next
I'm
Generation
not
set on
sure.
Romulus.
Well, we'll
We can
discuss it
talk
with the
about the
episode when
shoulder
it comes
pads.
up. Yeah.
We can talk about the tremendous shoulder pads when we get this episode. But the next one, again, this is no surprise to anyone who knows me. It's the Inner Light, and this is a tearjerker episode. Doesn't make me cry, but it is a
Yeah.
tearjerker episode where Picard is struck down by an alien probe and lives an entire life in the matter of seconds.
Mm.
It is a wonderful episode, beautifully remastered when they upscaled the next generation and added more visuals. But oh, what is not to love about this episode?
Is this episode is answers the question of like what happened that time in band camp for Picard. Uh, the
You had
next
to
one
ruin it,
is an
didn't you?
episode how to ruin the inner light for Goodwill. Next one is a pick by me from TNG, and it is a dark page from the final season of TNG. This is one of these amazing episodes that shows the depth of Star Trek, where we get a character like Luxana Troy, who's always been seen as a comedy character. She's always, whenever she appears, she's always kind of mocked and kind of belittled a bit because she's so outrageous and whatnot. And then this shows that this character has so much depth by turning it on its head and making her into an incredibly tragic character. And it's just so. This is the episode that I might cry at.
Yeah.
Like just simply because of how beautifully this episode is handled, and you kind of realize, wow, that person there who's a kind of comedy character who's played for laughs, like they actually have this inner turmoil, and I
Yeah.
absolutely love it. The next episode is another pick of mine, which is the last good episode we have from TNG, which is The Measure of a Man, which is also a courtroom episode. It's like they're the best episodes of Trek or whatnot, which is the episode where Data has to justify his existence effectively. And it's something that I think we can discuss a lot about nowadays with the emergence of AI and whatnot, and what constitutes an actual human now that we're actually starting to get stuff that can trick people and go like, well, where do rights start? Where do rights finish? And I think it's an interesting one to discuss. Uh, the next one is also one of mine, which is my only mention of the original series, I think. In all, no, actually, no, I've got another one, but it's in the bad category. And this is What a Little Girl's Made Of, which is it's not a good Kirk episode, but it's a wonderful episode. We get lots of interesting monsters, we get lots of interesting goings on, and there's a lot of philosophy we can talk about in this episode. So I was just pleased to find an original series episode that I finished, and I was like, that was really good. I actually loved that. So yeah, that's why it's on the list.
The next one is one of mine. It is a original series episode, and it is The City on the Edge of Forever. This is an all-time classic original series episode. We get time travel, we get Joan Collins, we get the Guardian of Forever. This is when people think of Star Trek, this is one of the episodes that comes to mind, and it is a tragic episode in a way as well. And we finally see McCoy snap under the pressures of the workload. No, I'm joking. He just gets violently ill and nearly dies. The next episode again is an original series episode. It is the Doomsday Machine. This this is a fantastic episode because we get Captain Decker, Matt Decker,
Mm.
who tragically loses his entire crew of the Constellation, and he is. This is a great example of PTSD in Star Trek, especially in the
Mm.
'60s. This was not really something that was discussed at great length, but
Yeah.
we see the Federation go up against an unstoppable foe, an actual planet killer, and how far men will go to essentially chase their white whale. So this is an allegory for Moby Dick. It's an allegory for post-traumatic stress disorder, and it is one of my most favorite Star Trek episodes of all time.
Yeah, that's it.
The
Now, this
next
last
one,
one, this is a pick of yours, but I'm really glad that we're getting to discuss it because I remember watching this and taking full notes for this episode purely for when we went into reviewing The Wrath of Khan.
yeah,
And so I was like, oh, yeah, actually, we haven't properly discussed this. So, yeah.
the next episode is Space Seed from the original series. Where was Chekhov? He bumped Khan in the urinal. Um, this
Love a
again,
bit of cottaging. We'll love a bit
love a
of
bit of
cottaging.
cottaging here at Trekking
Oh.
Up North, cottaging up north. Um,
That's the new spin-off. We'll get on to Paul with it. Can we have...
yeah.
Here's the new show, Cottaging Up North.
What? No.
Dogging Up North.
Spe-
Anyway, let's talk about Seed.
Space Seed
Oh, okay.
is the pinnacle episode of the original series, and let's not forget this is the excuse the pun. This is the genesis for one of the greatest Star Trek movies of all time, The Wrath of Khan. So when you introduce someone to say Star Trek and you want to get them into the classic movies and series, you say you need to watch Space Seed first, then The Wrath of Khan to fully immerse
Yeah.
yourself in the motives of Khan Noonien Singh. It is again, it is just the one of the pinnacle original series episodes, and it is one of those episodes that anyone would think of when you think of the original series.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Next one, we're moving on to the good episodes of Voyager, and I kind of struggled, if I'm perfectly honest, because basically what I picked is the gift from Star Trek Voyager, and this is the This is the kind of Kez leaving and giving the baton to Seven of Nine. So it's the introduction of Seven of Nine as a recurring mainstay character, and then losing Kez from the series, who I is a character who I have very strong feelings about. So it's an interesting episode, and it's probably the only one that has all of the characters in. Like it's the only episode I think of. Like we have Kez coming back later in Fury, but then this is the episode that I think is like going, yeah, uh, everyone's here and everyone's doing something. So yeah, I thought I'd do this. The next one is the other good. You didn't put any good Voyager episodes in, did you? You blew
Move
your
on.
load on original series choices, didn't you?
TNG, actually, but continue.
But yeah, the next one we've got is Living Witness from Voyager, which is the incredible episode where it's their Voyager's Mirror Universe episode, where we get the Doctor getting a copy of the Doctor getting found by a society, and then in them interpreting all of the actions of Voyager and painting a very different picture to what actually happened. It is an incredible Doctor episode. It's a really fun different way of seeing all of the crew and whatnot. Getting to see an evil Tuvok, getting to see evil leather gloves Janeway is yeah,
Oh.
it's
Oh.
top tier Voyager.
Now we move on to the
To the
Dabo
bad list.
Wheel! The Dabo
No.
Wheel of Shame!
Oh no, some of the
The
I'm
the
I'm
bad list.
terrified
And
about some of these.
allow me to go first for the bad list, because the first pick is mine, and obviously it is that episode from Discovery, Sukal, from season 3. What happened in the burn? Was it that they tore the fabric of subspace by detonating a megaparticle? Did years and years of warp speed, high speed warp speed, tear the fabric of subspace, pollute subspace, rendering vast areas of space navigable, or just not being able to travel? No, a child screamed, and billions of people died because a child screamed. So yes, Sokal.
To keep on the tradition, the next two are mine, which are all for both Discovery, which is Such Sweet Sorrow, which is the conclusion to season 2 of Discovery. Now, the reason I dislike this so much is because you got the voice notes, didn't you, Goodwill, as I was going through Discovery, and as I was going, I was like, why is this happening? What's going on? Please tell me it gets better. And oh, this is the best series, really. This is the best season of it. Yeah, the end of the show where you just kind of go, oh, I'm so glad. I feel so proud of them that they managed to do a plot twist that didn't actually revolve around Michael Burnham. And then this is the episode where it goes, nah, actually, pulled your leg. It's still Michael Burnham. They're still responsible for everything. And it wound me up so
She
badly how
becomes a
much this
literal angel.
oh, it's like her LinkedIn at the end of Discovery, where you're like, so you created everything then, right? Okay, so you're God, right?
You know, she is the type of person who actively posts on LinkedIn, and not only actively posts, has LinkedIn Premium.
Yeah, no, she pays for LinkedIn.
Oh yeah,
She pays for LinkedIn and she lies on it. Anyway, rant over. The
but
next
enough
one
about Angela
is
Rayner.
yeah. The next one is a season 1 episode of Discovery, which is Despite Yourself. Now, the reason this is on the list is because I got very upset when the Doctor is murdered, uh, and I think it's this. This was the point in Discovery where I realized this isn't my Trek. This
Yeah.
is the point where I was actually. I feel depressed by this show. I feel upset to watch it, and I feel a bit triggered to keep watching. Where he's just like, please tell me there's some happiness in this. Please tell me there's going to be some likable people appearing. Please tell me it's going to get better. And this was the point when I just went, it's not getting better, is it? It's just going to keep up with this nonsense. And yeah, and so this has a place in my heart of just being like, oh, maybe I should give up on this show. Yeah.
The next episode is mine, and it is divisive, and I really struggle to put it on this list, but it is Deep Space Nine's Prophet and Lace. Now, some people love this episode, like Science Officer Synoiz. Some people hate this episode. I am sort of Malcolm in the middle when it comes to it.
Hmm.
And I just fondly remember this was Alexander Siddig's directorial episode, and he never directed again. So this is on the list because of the controversy that surrounds it in modern day pop culture.
But the interesting thing is that this nearly made my good list for DS9, but I felt like I'd put too much. I'd put 3 episodes in for good for DS9, and it nearly made it in because I think it's something that needs to be discussed. And whether we're
Yes.
talking it from me enjoying it and finding the good points of it, or you enjoying it, or you not enjoying it and pointing out the flaws in it, and
Mhm.
very much how it is in a modern context,
Yep.
it's the fact of it's in the wheel because we need to discuss this episode.
This is the great thing about Trekking Up North. We have divided opinions. However, because we are hardcore Star Trek fans, we can listen, understand, discuss, and still be friends because that is the future that Star Trek wants.
Exactly. Next one is also one of my picks, which is Move Along Home. No, it's
Oh.
Move Along Home from DS9. It's season one. It
Oh.
is. Forget everything I said about Duet. Season one is awful. No, no, it's not. But it is an episode where the show hadn't quite found itself yet, and it's yeah. I'm not gonna explain anymore. It's bloody awful, and therefore it's constantly mocked. But yeah,
Let's just move along.
yeah, the next one is also now we had a lot of debate on this of what is the worst starter episode of Trek. Is it Encounter at Farpoint? Is it what's the Voyager one called again?
Caretaker.
Caretaker? Is it Caretaker? Is it Emissary? Is it like well, it's definitely not Broken Bow, but it's this gets my vote and it's Emissary from DS9. Emissary Part 1 and 2. I I think it's my least favorite one. I think Caretaker is a worse episode, but because DS9 is so good overall, and I love all of it so much, it's so annoying to go, why does it have to have this shaky start? Where the first episode, they don't quite know what Odo is meant to look like. Cisco hasn't quite found what the character is and whatnot. And it's I class for my purposes, it's the worst opening episode of a Star Trek show.
From the worst opening episode to the worst finale episode. My next choice is an episode that a load of fans, quite frankly, refuse to acknowledge exists. It is These Are the Voyages from Star Trek Enterprise. It was being cancelled, and bless the writers, they had to find a way to tie everything up in Enterprise,
Hmm.
and they did their best. But however, this is not good. And a lot of people go, Star Trek Enterprise, yeah, the finale was Terra Nova.
Hey, to be fair, it's how bad this is, where it's the idea of
Or Terra
finishing a
Prime.
show.
Terra Prime.
Finishing a show with These Are the Voyages is the equivalent of like, you know, it's kind of like the fact that they kill Trip is a bit like shitting in the bath before storming out. That's basically how it feels.
Yeah, it's sort of like you like this character. Well, you cancelled us, so we're gonna murder someone. And it's
Yeah,
just
it's like
it's
you could have
petty.
just not. You could have
Yeah.
just not and let him
It's
live, but
petty
okay.
more than anything. Next one.
Next one is this is the controversial one because I think that we're going to have the profit and lace difference of opinion here, but it is the Forge from season 4 of Enterprise. I am very contrary, where I prefer seasons 1 and 2 of Enterprise, and I find 3 and 4 fairly difficult. This episode, I think it's like, yeah, it's one episode, but it's kind of a two-parter,
Part of a
is
mini arc.
basically
Yeah.
lots of boring conversations on a fucking desert planet with bloody Vulcans being boring. And you're sitting there being like, wow, there's one emotional person in like this entire episode, and it's Archer. It's it's a struggle of an episode. Even though what's being discussed is great, it's one of those flaws of Star Trek by being like, hey, we've got these Vulcan characters who act like this. And then you're like, yeah, but that's gonna be a struggle watching a room full of Vulcans for a whole episode. Yeah, and I always struggle with this one.
Speaking of struggling, my next choice is Two of One from season 2 of Star Trek Picard. Why? Because Alison Pill sang. Why?
Is
Moving
that it?
on.
That's the whole. There we go. That's the whole thing. Okay, there we go.
Moving on.
There's one. Next one is also Picard, which is I think Picard, for how short Picard is, it's getting a lot of hate in this list. We have Et in Argio Ergo, which is the end of season 1 of
Yes.
Picard, where, oh God, oh, it's awful. It's got Narek in it, who is the wet Vulcan, which sounds like, is like if he was in like Home Alone, that's what he'd be called, the wet Vulcans. But yeah, Data appears and then dies again, and then Picard gets an android body. Like, why couldn't they just say, "Hey, the androids have a way of curing your disease. Cool, that's fine." Instead, they're like, "He's a robot now,"
And then
because
they barely
it's
talked about it again, and there was a
yeah.
copy and paste fleet.
And
And
then we have
yeah,
that awful bit at the end. At the end, the awful montage where it just goes, "Oh yeah, 7 of 9," and oh, what's her name?
Raffi.
Raffi have just hooked up, and you're just like, no, no, don't give us representation when it's just unearned. Don't just go, oh, that character's gay now. It's like, no, you're missing the point of why why we need like LGBT people
Yeah.
in shows. If you're just gonna be like, oh well, we ticked a box. It doesn't help us. It doesn't help anyone.
The
And then the
final
next one's your choice.
the final Picard episode in this list again is season 1. It is Stardust City Rag. Um
That's
boy,
it. I don't think we need to justify this. We
Stardust
lose
City Rag.
we lose a slightly beloved character in a absolutely horrific way.
But we
Uh,
also lose the credibility of the existing characters in this episode. We
yeah.
lose their respect. We get Picard with an eye patch and an accent. We get Cristobal Rios, who I have got one of the biggest man crushes on. He's in a
Yeah.
Starfleet uniform and smokes a cigar. No, he's a pimp. Moving on.
Moving on. There
The
we go.
next
What have we
one,
got next?
surprisingly, is from season 1 of Star Trek Prodigy. It is Ghost in the Machine. This, for me, although there's a lot of representation in Star Trek, it is a holodeck episode on the Prodigy, where they are running holodeck simulations of a Kobayashi Maru, and they require the best crew. So they have Crusher, Odo, Scotty, Spock, and it's just sound clips of actors that have sadly passed away, and I feel uncomfortable. I feel it is distasteful. For a Trekkie, you can hear where the sound clips have come from, and you go, "That's from that episode. That's from that episode." Why would you do it this way? And
Hmm.
it makes me uncomfortable.
Whereas I see it as a lovely homage to these actors that we're not going to be getting new material from. But that's what we'll discuss when that episode
Yeah,
comes up on the Dabo Wheel. What's the next one?
it's
The next
yours.
one is a pick of mine. This is a weird one because I wanted to pick something from Strange New Worlds, but it's a testament to Strange New Worlds that I struggled to think of what a bad episode was for it because I have enjoyed it all so much. But this is the Elysian Kingdom from season 1 of Strange New Worlds, is it?
The Elysian
This is
Kingdom.
yeah, this is no the Umbenga episode where he basically just goes, "Oh yeah, my daughter can just go and live in a fantasy world with this thing." It annoys me. This is the one where like the ship turns into a fantasy kingdom and his created by his daughter. And it's this annoying thing of I desperately wanted to see more of Umbenga because I wasn't sure about him when the show started, and I was like, I really want him to win me over and stuff. And then this wasn't the episode to do it. But then obviously in season 2 we get some amazing episodes that cement him as a great character. This was not it. And I hate the whole, oh yeah, I'll just give up my daughter then, like
Yeah.
ending to it. Yeah, fuck it. Next one's also one of mine, and this might be controversial because this is probably someone's favorite episode or two-parter, and it's Time's Arrow from TNG, which is just I just don't like it. It's the one where they find Data's head, they go back in the past. It's the introduction of what's the
Samuel
uh
Clemens, Mark
yes.
Twain. I do declare.
It is while we love the Twain off that Lower Decks introduced into everything. I don't I just don't like this two-parter. It winds me up. So yeah, that's all we have like Guinan appearing and meeting Picard, and it's all a bit trite. It's all a bit gauche. So yeah, not keen.
The next one is mine, and um, this 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 is here for one really stupid reason, and it is the friggin' gong in the dinner scene. It is the Next Generation episode Haven, and we get Loxana Troy. I love Loxana Troy. We get Mr. Hom, but Mr. Hom has a gong, and it's not a good episode. This was the very first episode of the Agony Booth that I was on Captain's Quadrant, and I had to watch it, and I was like, oh God, why do I do this to myself? It doesn't fit, it doesn't work, and yeah, there's a lot of issues that even in the 80s felt dated, and really, yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah. Now, next episode is Shades of Grey from TNG, and it's a season 2 episode. Now, the reason why I put this on the list is A, it's a clip episode, so it can get fucked, and B, it's the final episode we have with Dr. Pulaski, and I am one of the people who very much likes Dr. Pulaski. I really like them as a character, and they get this sort of, oh, they're gone. Kind of, they don't,
Yeah.
they get a throwaway line of, oh, yeah, they decided to leave, and in season 3, and it annoys me. It annoys me that the last episode of this character that I think has so much potential and I think did a really, really great job. And it's a clip episode. It's lazy, but it was during the writer's strike, wasn't it?
It was during the
Or something?
writers' strike,
Yeah.
and there was. I'm guessing. I would need to do research. I'm guessing this was just like, this is, if TNG doesn't come back, here's a highlight reel.
Yeah. The next episode, I don't know why we haven't put this in the Dabo Wheel of Honor,
Right.
honestly.
Firstly, right. When this episode is drawn, there will be a lot of alcohol consumed. Okay, and I mean a lot of alcohol will be consumed. The martinis will be oozing out of every pore of my being,
We
because
will
the
get
next episode,
mortal for this episode.
we have to get mortaled because of the issues we will have to deal with. It is the Next Generation episode, Code of Honor. It had to be in the bad list. We have gone 2 years, 2 whole years without addressing that episode. So rest assured, we will discuss it, but we will be so drunk by the end of it, our stomachs are going to need pumping.
Yeah. But aren't you happy that it's now only a 1 in 24 chance of getting it now?
No. Next episode is the final episode. Is that no, there's a few more.
No,
So
there's a few more. Oh God, we've really gone over the top with these. But yeah, the next episode is a controversial pick for me, and it is Balance of Terror.
The Balance of Terror!
I'm sorry, but every time I watch this, I'm bored to fucking tears. And everyone talks about like, oh, it's so tense and it's amazing. It's the introduction to the Romulans and such. And I hate it. I'm so bored. There's so much more that could have been done with it. And when we know what we know how Trek evolves past this point, it's just it's while I do enjoy the original series, this very much goes like, oh yeah, maybe we do need to up the pace a little bit, in order to yeah. It's controversial, but that's exactly what we'll get into when we review it.
That's got to be a juicy one, everyone. That is gonna that may break us.
We might need a guest. We might need to have a guest as a referee during this one.
I will call up Nina. I will summon the Nina. Speaking of breaking us, Spock's brain from season 3. This is
so bad.
We got we got Dana Mulder in this episode. We get the introduction of the Medusans, who continue on in Star Trek Prodigy. No, we don't. No. We don't. We get this is Spock's brain, where a random woman beams onto the Enterprise. Everything goes down. They pass out, and then suddenly Spock has lost his noggin.
No,
Which
his
I'm
noggin's there, just his brain is missing, and you're like going,
no. Well,
that's
yeah,
usually fatal.
he's lost his peanut, but it,
I just love the fact that the tricorder has a way of just going, oh yeah, the brain's missing. It's like, isn't that a pretty rare condition? Like,
like, my God, Jim, he's got no brain. Really? Couldn't you tell by
yeah. The fact he looks like he's from Hendon.
the fact he looks? Yeah, the fact he looks like he watches ITV too. But this is a bad episode, and yeah, I think this one we are going to be unanimous in our opinion of it, shall we
It's
say?
I think it's one of these ones where it's like it's pretty much a B movie. It's pretty much a B movie level of schlock, this episode.
Even the sound effects are cheap, and that's for Star Trek in the '60s, man. Come on.
Yep. Just come. Next one's one of yours.
No, it isn't. It's one of yours. And now to Eden.
It's not. I didn't pick this.
Brother. You did.
I didn't pick this, but I can talk about it.
We will talk about this together.
Yeah, I'm indifferent to this episode. I actually class this. This was an episode that I enjoyed. It's a silly episode, but I was like, yeah, it's not the worst thing I've seen. But
it's
yeah.
an episode that pokes fun at hippies. We've got really, really bad ear makeup, and it just basically says, well, if you follow these people blindly, you will die. And again, just the music. I just wanted to punch them. And I'm Grandpa Simpson, where everyone else at Woodstock is having fun, and he's sat there at the enrollment tent. This is what it makes me feel like, this episode. But yeah, the next episode. The next episode is the final episode. Another bad final episode. This is the final episode of TOS. Turnabout Intruder. I can't be a starship captain because I am a woman. Really, Gene?
Well,
Really,
you know
Gene?
when we talk about sort of like oh, Star Trek, oh, like DS9 got too far away from Gene's vision, and you're sitting there being like, maybe that's not a bad thing when
Maybe
you watch
Gene's
Turnabout
vision needed
Intruder.
realigning. Maybe Gene needed to go to Specsavers by season. No, in fact, season 3, he was more or less checked out. And maybe Gene needed to come back and go, yes, I like mini skirts, but maybe this is a bit too much. But yeah, Turnabout Intruder, we will discuss. The next episode, though, is Synoiz's.
Yeah, next episode is Alice from Voyager. It's the one where Tom Paris falls in love with a ship. Get fucked.
I sympathize with him, but okay, this is fair enough.
I knew when we were picking these that one of my bad picks would have to be a Tom Paris episode. It's
Science Officer Synoiz does not like a man who is fond of Americana, cars, and bonding with inanimate objects. Hi, everybody. I'm Captain Goodwill.
It's why we've never bucked.
It's why. Pardon. It's not what you said in Vegas. The next episode
I
is
was drunk.
Oh, Canal with a Damar. The next episode is another Voyager episode, and it is my choice. It is The Fight. And you're probably going, Captain Goodwill, why? Oh, why did you choose the Voyager episode, The Fight? Chakotay. The next episode is fine. It's the final episode of the
final
bad
episode
list.
in the wheel, the bad list, and this is one of my picks, which is Elogium from Voyager, and it. All I'm going to say is Neelix is a space nonce, and this episode makes me really, really uncomfortable with a character who is effectively meant to be 2 years old, going into
Puberty?
heat effectively,
Yeah.
and then demanding sex from Neelix, and I don't
it's
know. The whole
really
episode
problematic.
makes me very uncomfortable, and it's the idea of a lot of the things that it raises in it. Like, I don't know, it just gets my hackles up. So
It it
I
it
was thinking, if I my Voyager episodes, I definitely would have a Paris episode there, which is Alice, and this is probably my most hated Neelix episode. So
it raises a really serious issue where the writers on Voyager back themselves into a corner because we're just like, hey, Neelix wants to get it on with a 2-year-old. Neelix Watkins? Call the Bajorans! We found our lost prophet. Um,
That's terrible. Neelix Watkins.
and that is our list. That is the Dabo Wheel of Honor and the Dabo Wheel of Shame.
Yeah.
So,
So tune in to our wonderful shows as we are doing them. The next thing that we have coming out is our incredible review of Section 31, the which you will be able to watch. Go and watch that film yourself, and then come and see whether you share our opinions. Now, I want you to tell us in the comments here what episodes you think should have been on the list. What do you disagree with? Are there any of these list choices that you're angry with? Are you annoyed that I've put that one, Balance of Terror, in the bad list? Are you annoyed that Prophet of Lace is in the bad list? Are you annoyed that there's Discovery representation in the bad list? Let us know in the comments and tell us what your choices would be, because I think what we're going to be doing is, as this list dwindles, as we review them, we're going to be finding ways to add new things into the list, and these will probably be choices from the community that they think we should put into the Dabo Wheels of Honor and Shame.
please, please, please share Trekking Up North's brand new home with everyone you know. If you like this video, hit that like button. It should have glowed when I said that. Down below, click subscribe if you are not already a member, and tick that bell. We will be uploading delicious Star Trek content as and when we see fit or when we are awake. I have been Captain Goodwill of the USS Adequate. He has been Science Officer Synoiz, the delectable Geesian from the planet Home. This has been Trekking Up North, and as ever, live long and prosper. Stay safe. Miles?
Neelix is
Miles?
a space nonce. That's all.